Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
Ray, for being here this morning. I'd like to follow up on Senator Moran's question about the hearing we had with Attorney General Barr, because I was very concerned by his use of the word spying, which I think is a very loaded word. It conjures a criminal connotation. And I want to ask you, and I'd appreciate a yes or no answer if possible. When FBI agents conduct investigations against alleged mobsters, suspected terrorists, other criminals, do you believe that they're engaging in spying when they're following FBI investigative policies and procedures?
Remember, it's a yes or no question, because you can't explain yourself in a situation like this. We should all care that agencies can be, well, manipulated to do certain things. IRS, right? We should ask ourselves, do we want to live in a country where potentially we're looking into campaigns? We have the powers that be that could look into campaigns for whatever reason they think that maybe the Chinese have gotten to Biden. I've heard what Biden just said. Biden says China's not a big deal. His son's done more than a little bit of business with the Chinese. We should definitely listen to what Biden has to say. Now, we're only looking and listening for things that have to do with China. But if we did find something else, maybe, just maybe, I'm not saying that's all we're looking for. So it's a yes or no question, Mr. Ray. Was it spying?
Well, that's not the term I would use.
Thank you. So I would say that's a no to that question.
So that's not the term you would use. Now, you would think to yourself, there's always a but. And it's funny because today, so he's on the Hill and he's getting grilled by all these people. And it's not the term I would use. They're like, he's distancing himself from Barr. Well, that's not the term you would use, right? But the reality is, if walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it usually is. Well, according to the Democrats, it's a North American giant penguin. But the reality is it's still a duck.
Look, there are lots of people have different colloquial phrases. I believe that the FBI is engaged in investigative activity, and part of investigative activity includes surveillance activity of different shapes and sizes. And to me, the key question is making sure that it's done by the book, consistent with our lawful authorities. That's the key question. Different people use different colloquial phrases.
Oh, colloquial phrases. You're going to hear that a lot today. So Wolf Blitzer asked James Clapper, one of those guys who's been up in the intelligence world a long time, and you listen to them struggle to try to figure out, how do I rephrase this from the fact that we were spying? How do I rephrase this?
Was it spying? Well, I guess it meets the dictionary definition of surveillance or spying, a term I don't particularly like. It's not a term of art used by intelligence people. It has a negative connotation of a rogue operation, out of control, not in compliance with the law, and that's not the case at all.
It's just semantics. Let's just play. Okay, would you call it spying? Well, I mean, if you looked in the dictionary, but we've reclassified that. Like, she's no longer a stewardess. He's not a steward, right? He's a flight attendant. She's a flight attendant, right? Secretary's not a secretary. They're an administrator. They do the same thing. They act the same way. We've changed the words. So what's to not hurt people's feelings? If I found out that Trump, right, let's take away Russia, and all this stuff. If I find out that Trump looked in on Biden with this crazy concocted story about China, I'd be upset. I'd be pissed. I'd be angry, right? Because we know the game that's being played. You should, too. I don't want to live in a world where we're using our agencies to spy upon one another during campaign season. Wow. That's insane. It's bad enough they're spying on us. Now they're spying on each other. And, again, we think, Trump could say, that Joe Biden, based on a lot of stuff, right? The way he talks about China, the way he says China's not a threat, the way that his kid is definitely enjoyed some stuff over there, right? Right? Got a little bit of money, got some of this stuff, right? Been working with some of the Chinese big groups and banks over there. We've had several other Democrats that have done the same thing. We thought that it was necessary to find out, is China pulling some of the strings here and helping Sleepy Joe out? Yeah, no. I don't want that. You don't want that. You know that. I know that. We all know that. That's uncomfortable, but it needs to be talked about because this to me is disturbing. How did we get to the point where we even looked in on a presidential candidate based on a bizarre, put together, by the way, apparently Steele and the dossier, Steele is not a former spy. He's an intelligence gatherer. Doesn't sound as cool, right? Like if James Bond was intelligence gatherer, that's a stupid name. It's a dumb name for a spy. Not a spy, he's intelligence gatherer. Surveillance guy. Dumb, right? Here comes surveillance guy. What's up, guys? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. We love hearing from you. And the battle still for Mueller is going on. But how much does the average person care? There it is again. How much does the average person care?
When it comes to how Americans view the Mueller investigation, it's a hung jury. People say President Trump is not guilty, but he's not innocent either. In our new NBC News Wall Street Journal poll, 49% of Americans say Congress should either begin impeachment hearings now or keep investigating to see if impeachment is necessary in the future, while an almost equal 48% say no impeachment hearings should be held at all.
Yeah. And then if you ask them, how much do you actually care? You'll find out that it's really, really, really small. Right? It's just really small. But they're going to beat this drum for a long time. Just beat the drum, beat the drum, beat the drum. You sit back and you say to yourself, God, is there nothing else? Like today, I'm listening to two of our more powerful politicians battle it out and play games on the floor over Mueller and Barr and all of this stuff.
My Democratic colleagues seem to be publicly working through the 5 stages of grief. First stage is denial.
Oh, right. So you got him trying to be funny there, right? You got him fighting, but he's not done.
They told everyone there had been a conspiracy between Russia and the Trump campaign. Yet on this central question, the special counsel's finding is clear. Case closed.
Oh, no, it's not. How dare you? It's never closed, not as long as Chuck Schumer's still breathing.
So our leader says, let's move on. It's sort of like Richard Nixon saying, let's move on at the height of the investigation of his wrongdoing.
But the difference is the investigation has been done. You don't like the outcome, right? Nixon said in the middle, let's move on. Trump has had the investigation done. The person that you guys cheered for, Mueller, boom, it's over. It's done. Move on. How about we start dealing with health care? How about we start dealing with immigration and infrastructure? How about we start making things like, I don't know, Social Security solvent again? So in a few years, we're not running out going, all right, here's the deal. Everybody gets an old person. You got to take care of them. It's the way it's got to be. We weren't paying attention. We were asleep at the wheel because we were trying to find out if this guy that's in the White House or was in the White House was hanging out with the Russians, and we found out he wasn't. But still, did he say some things that could have been obstruction of justice? You wouldn't have cared too much about it because you were too busy living. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love to hear from you. The Royals, kids, the names are out there. Now, the name I chose yesterday, I have changed that, but you can bet on the name.
The current hot favorite is Arthur. That's according to the Coral bookmaking chain, followed by Philip, the baby's great-grandfather. Further down the list, Albert, James, Alfred, and Thomas. Spencer is an interesting bet. It's in reference to Princess Diana's maiden name. Many of the early bets of the past few months suggested that there was a strong belief that the royal couple's first child would be a girl. So the bookies will be coming out very nicely, whatever name is chosen.
I said yesterday it should be Henry, which I think is a strong name. But then I said today, it should be Muhammad. I tweeted that out, and I got people who were like, yeah, they should call it Muhammad, because that makes conservatives uncomfortable. I'm like, do you guys not get sarcasm at all? At all? I heard Alfred's kind of in the lead. I said Oliver's a good name, too. But as I remind people yesterday, why does it matter? Because this is our first American royal. This is our first true American royal. born to royal birth, also happens to be part American. Soak it up. How do you like apples that are those apples? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. AMAC is amazing. Association of Mature American Citizens, they don't want to see that happening. They're out there fighting for people in the mature American citizens. They're doing real things. They've actually submitted recommendations to Social Security Subcommittee of House and Ways and Means Committee. What are they doing that for? They want to say, look, there's a way we can make this thing solvent without even raising taxes. What? And on top of that, the benefits with AMAC are amazing. Tons and tons of benefits. Retail, restaurant, hotel discounts, you name it, they've got it. Movie ticket discounts up to 50% off. Same thing with amusement parks. They've got a ton of it. And you can join for free today. Simple and easy. Join right now. Go to amac.us/chat or call 888-355-1617. That's 888-355-1617. Join for free. It's 1 year free. They don't even want your credit card. amac.us/chat or call them 888-355-1617. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Take a fake news break. Check out the really important news of the day at our website, ChadBensonShow.com. Once there, click on Chad's free podcast and get real. The Chad Benson Show, where truth and the American way live. Print free.
As the scene is unfolding right now, deputies say there are multiple injured. The severity of their injuries is not clear. One man says he saw a victim who was shot. Witnesses, he says, were putting pressure on the gunshot wound. Deputies are telling us they have 2 suspects in custody. They're looking for a third. It is now a sea of blinking red and blue police lights outside of the STEM Academy, just a couple of miles away from Columbine High School.
Yeah, so we never, we were just talking about this off air. So you get another shooting in Colorado, not too far from Columbine. I don't know how many people are injured. It is it's a free-flowing scene as it's moving on right now.
We want to make sure we note every student that is leaving and who they're leaving with, so that can be very complicated. And also to find out if any students know anything, if they saw anything, if they're a witness to this. So that is going to take some time, so parents, please be patient as you're going over there working with the reunification team.
Yeah, and we don't know if there's any deaths. I mean, there's 7, maybe 8 kids that are wounded. When I went to school, and I went to school in an area where, I went to several schools. I never worried about this in the mass shooting thing. This is kind of a newish phenomenon. Phenomenon. It is. And I was just telling the guys off the air, I said, I went to school, like my junior high, Stanford Junior High in Long Beach, we had a fair amount of gang members. We had the Crips, we had the Rolling 20s, we had the East Side Longos and the East Side Laotians and stuff like we had several different gangs. They were usually friendly with each other. We knew potentially what would happen. Like, would there ever be a drive-by? Is that a potential there? Yeah, but it was never kid comes on campus and sprays a bunch of bullets and kills a bunch of people. I never had that any kind of worry. Now I did worry because, you go out and this was back in the day, the 80s when, it was, boys in the hood and drive-bys were prevalent compared to what you see nowadays. And that was kind of that first foray into really where drive-bys picked up. And you knew what, like, okay, you're out work, playing, in PE and stuff. And you're worried, like, when the car would slow down and stuff, like, oh, because we did have plenty of gang members. And there was a guy named Ralph who I went to junior high with who was a prominent Crip who, guy's in junior high and he's like 30 years old and he's got a couple kids and he's just, I worried about that. I never worried about the person that was going to go. Back then we joked and we called it postal, right? But what is it today? And again, we don't know what took place. We still don't know any of those things. We don't know, was this a gang situation? Was this and you got 2 kids. What was this all about? But I just don't remember that in my day and age of, we worry about the guns. I worry about the kids. How are we not addressing this? How do we not know who these kids are? It's not hard to spot some people, I think, that may have issues. Hey, Steve sits in the corner, doesn't talk to anybody, and he draws dark pictures. Well, maybe we need to keep an eye on him. Just maybe, an extra eye. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. But we'll be watching this as this goes over the next couple days to see, first of all, what the political ramifications are going to be in this. What kind of gun did they have? That's the first thing that in politics nowadays. So we ask, okay, what kind of gun did they have? Did they have a handgun? Because if it's a handgun or a rifle and it wasn't an AR-15 or some sort of assault rifle, then there's nothing to talk about here. But we need to know these things because I got to find out what side of the wokeness we're going to be on. When I'm still asking the question is, why are we not identifying this earlier? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. But you're going to hear a lot of stuff over the next coming days, especially if this was an assault rifle. But I want to find out the before, not the after.
That's happening way too often, more than we ever saw 10 years ago, 20 years ago. There are a lot of factors that are at play. The internet, social media, bullying on social media.
Yeah, there's a guy named Steve Gomez. I think he's absolutely right. And that begs the question, is it the gun's fault or is it the internet's fault? Should we ban the internet? Should we have internet control? Because it is happening a lot more. Can we draw a correlation between certain things or not? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Some of you are tweeting in. I was celebrating earlier today. Liverpool. Champions League soccer, one of the greatest comebacks. It's so funny because next to me we have Phoenix Children's Hospital is doing a bunch of recording, and they had to be just looking at me sideways because Liverpool scored, and they scored again, and they scored again, and they scored again, and then by the fourth goal, I'm literally dancing in here, and they just kind of looking at me, kind of like their head turned, like, you know, when you talk to a dog, and the dog, you think, oh, I think the dog understood what I said. That's kind of the way they looked at me. I'm okay with that. I show my stripes, my colors. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It is the Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
You know, people say, well, Joe, how are you going to do all this? Well, guess what? First thing I'm going to do is going to repeal this Trump tax cut. Oh, not a joke. No.
Oh, yeah, you do that. That's what, you know what? You run on confiscation of guns, repealing tax cut, and giving stuff away. That's a win right there. That's a win. Because you know what people love to do is to give more money to government. They dream of it. They wake up every day and think, God, if only government can have more of my money. People, and it's funny because I posted something about that, and all these people fire back at me, and I just started laughing. And I'm like, look, I don't care. You can tell the rich, hey, rich, you got to pay 100% of everything you make over $1, and we're going to decide who's rich or not. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to be just fine. They're going to write everything off. They're going to do all the things that they do. You could raise it to 75%. They're still going to pay, on average, 22 to 25%. You could raise it to 90%. They're going to pay 22 to 25%. Unless you take away every single loophole, as they call it, which isn't. It's just something that's part of the tax code. And you take away every one of those codes. It's going to be that way. It's absolutely going to be that way. It's crazy. It really is. It is just, I sit back and say, God, that's what you're running on? You got Buttigieg saying, oh, America's not it wasn't always as great as people like to make it out to be. And, you know, Trump wants to take us back there. And you shake your head and you're thinking to yourself, you're going to run on gun confiscation, right? Swalwell, Cory Booker, and you're going to run on repealing taxes just across the board. Is it only the rich? Or are you going to take us back up to 35% in the corporate world? Just curious. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. I'm listening to this, right? Like, I'm listening to, like, here's Cory Booker the other day. And I sit here and I listen to him talk about the economy.
Across this country, from farm towns to factory towns, from cities to suburbs, we have so much common pain where Americans are seeing, from the cost of prescription drugs to the cost of college, that we are all hurting because we have not designed an economy that invests in each other.
Oh, we're all hurting. Is everybody hurting? Well, no, Chad. I mean, not everybody, but like most of the people are hurting. Really? Great article today about in the Motley Fool. About what, Chad? About how much money the average American wastes. So we hear people talking every day. I'm making it paycheck to paycheck. I'm just surviving. Well, if you're just surviving, making it paycheck to paycheck, why are you in line with me getting something to eat that you can barely afford if you're living paycheck to paycheck? Now, this is the Motley Fool. They said that on average, an adult American spends $1,497 a month on non-essential items, according to research commissioned by Ladder and conducted by OnePoll. Let's just say it's half of that, right? Or let's just say it's $1,200. Let's just say it's $1,000 a month. We'll take away $500. That's still $12,000 a year. Cut that in half, right? Say it's $500 a month. I think that's real. I think that's lowball. Some of the stuff that we spend money on average cost a month, restaurant meals, $209. Drinks, $188. Takeout or delivery, $177. Buying lunch, $173. Impulse purchases, $109. Rideshare, $96. Personal grooming, $94. Subscription boxes, $94. Cable, $90. Online shopping, $84. Gym classes or membership, $72. Paid apps, $23. TV or movie streaming services, $23. Music streaming services, $22. Coffee, $20. Bottled water, $17. These are some of the things that people spend money on. People gripe about, I'm living paycheck to paycheck. But if you went and you looked, God, I sound like David Ramsey. Right? Don't I sound like Dave Ramsey? Well, man, better than I should be. It's weenies and beans for you. Or rice and beans, whatever he says. Don't beat me up, Dave. But we do. We waste a ton of money. I'm guilty at times of it as well. But I've also put money aside. And that's one of the first things I do every month is go, okay, this is what I'm putting aside, and I'm putting it straight in my savings. But how many people do that? If you had an extra $1,000 a month, we want to talk about, let's give everybody basic income. You know what we should do is we should give everybody a basic finance class to figure out where they're wasting their money. And I bet you we could find out, hey, guess what? There's some basic income right here. It's not everybody. It's not. But there's a lot of people out there. They don't put any money away for savings. They're not poor and struggling, if you will. But at the same time, they could financially be doing better. And there's a lot of people who are on the quote-unquote poverty level who their life's not as bad as they make it out to be. They got a cell phone, right? They're living okay. They got Hulu or Netflix. They got all of those things. If you're struggling that bad, you shouldn't be having those things. It's amazing. And that's where you get people like Cory Booker saying, well, it's a struggle. If this is anywhere near the truth in these things, but you know what? I look at this as an average American. Yeah. I mean, I do some of this. Restaurant, yeah. Now, granted, I do travel a lot, so there's part of that, but that's also business expense, but I do other things. Drinks, not so much. I don't drink anything alcoholic-wise. Takeout or delivery, yeah, I would be in that, buying lunch in and around there. I don't spend a ton, but I do bring my lunch a few times a week. I do, when I'm traveling at times and I'm driving places, I'll go to a store and buy cheaper stuff. But yeah, because it can add up. It absolutely can. It's crazy. But last week, was it Citibank, right? Was that what it was, Phil? Was it Citibank? That's the bank? Or was it, it wasn't Capital One, it was Citibank.
I think it was
Who
Citibank,
got in trouble for, and blasted by, what's her name, Elizabeth Warren, for their tweet that they put out there, basically you having a conversation with your bank account and saying, why don't you bring your food rather than buy lunch today? Why don't you make coffee at home rather than purchasing coffee? That's why you are nearly overdrawn. And everybody's like, how dare you? There's some personal responsibility to go around. Somewhere along the line, we've left personal responsibility out and stuff. No, Shad, you shouldn't have any personal responsibility. No. We should look around and say, yeah, you know what? We probably all spend a little bit too much. And I'm the first one to stand up and say guilty, even though I can afford to do some of these things and not have to worry about it. The reality is I look at something in black and white like this, and I go, I don't need to cut back, but for me and how I want to live, yeah, I'm going to cut back. And I live well below my means. And there's still places I look and say, I can cut that out. I don't need that. I don't need this subscription service. I don't need this thing. Because it all adds up. $5 here, $10 there, $20 there. Next thing you know, you look up at the end of the day and you're like, wow, I spend $32 a day on stuff that I don't really need. That's a lot of money. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Oh, people are like, man, that's don't be such a Debbie Downer, Chad. I'm not. I'm just being honest. I think we could do a little bit better. I do. So Trump, I say it was a bit of spying. Other people saying it's not spying. I said it was a bit of spying, and today they were grilling, they're grilling people on the Hill. They're talking about this. You got James Clapper coming out and go, well, yeah, it's spying, but I don't define it as spying. But it's kind of spying, but it wasn't spying on Trump. And people are saying, well, Chad, why do you always try to justify Trump? I'm not trying to justify him, right? What I'm trying to say is, I think when, his son came out and said, I think people are tapping our phones, everybody laughed at him. I think there's a reality there that, yeah, you know what? There was some stuff going on there that was a little bit shady, right? There was just a smidge, there was a hint of, smells a little bit, right? You got Christopher Wray up there today talking about whether or not spying was done. Well, I don't like to use that word. Now, I just want a yes or no question. And people are asking him questions about, well, was it really spying on the campaign and then the president-elect? And then they dodge around because it's, in so many ways, it's how you ask a question. And that's the beautiful sales world that you live in, right? What you want to have is open-ended questions to the point where you want yes or no's to get the sale in something. And the sale they wanted today about the whole dossier and was Trump spied on, this is one way they went with it.
At this time, do you have any evidence that any illegal surveillance into the campaigns or individuals associated with the campaigns by the FBI occurred?
He said no. Well, no, it wasn't illegal what you did. The question is, should it ever have been done? You may have followed the procedures to get the warrants and to do all the things that you had to do to then go and listen to phone calls. My question is, how did we get here? That's the big question. How do we get here? Take away whether or not he did anything, right? Take away all the... How did we get here? Well, we got here based on what? A dossier that was flimsy at best, that was poorly written by somebody who wasn't apparently a spy, because we don't have spies. They're intelligence information gatherers. But you went and ran with it. Nobody did their due diligence investigation on that. They were just looking for something to run with. So, yeah, everything you did was legal. The question is, should it ever been done in the first place? 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show. Here's your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Love hearing from you. Check out the Instagram as well. Go to thechadshow.com. Grab your podcast. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Feel free to punk this punk rocker any time of the day or night. Reach Chad on Twitter at Chad Benson Show and on Instagram at Chad Benson Show. And oh yeah, the Chad Benson Show on Facebook too. Punk that.
That's the sound of a happy R2-D2. Disney announcing that 3 new Star Wars films are in the works, including the final chapter in the 3rd trilogy due out this December. No hints on what the movies might be about. If it's a new trilogy or 3 standalone movies, look for the first film in 2022. And Disney, as part of the Fox acquisition, now also owns the Avatar franchise, and it has moved back the sequels. Avatar 2 now coming in December of 2021 instead of next year, and there will be a new Avatar every 2 years through 2025. Disney is the parent company of ABC News.
Yeah, so Disney's going to be rolling them out big time, huge, big money in movies. I mean, it is really, it's so expensive, right? You know, when you look like going to the movie, there's another example, right? Like this is a perfect example. We're just talking about money that people waste, but yeah, go to the movies. Like I was talking to a couple of the young production / promo people that are here. They've gone and seen the Avengers movie like 3 times. One says, Chad, have you seen it? I'm like, yeah, I've seen it. Are you going to go again? I'm going to take my son to see it. But I've seen it. And they were like, oh, I'm going to see it again. It's my 4th time. And I'm thinking, okay, it's $12. So you spent $15. You know, you get a drink or 2. They're right there. Is $80, $100. It's crazy when you think about it. If you were to do this, I remember I did this one month. Don't do and buy anything that is non-essential, right? So don't do anything. And take the money you would normally spend. So if you normally go every day and you get a sandwich and you get something and it's $6 here and a Starbucks or a Coke or something and it's $3 or $4 there, and just take that cash, right? Make sure you have cash and you just put it away. At the end of the month, you'd be so like, wow. Doesn't mean you're going to stop. But I think it's an eye-opening thing. Or even go through your bank account and just look and go, oh, my God, what the hell am I spending money? It's crazy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. I was just on my Instagram. You can go and check out my Instagram, at Chad Benson Show. And I see people that are working out, and they're not like models. I mean, some of them, you know, I think that they're just like they want to be influencers and they're in okay shape. It's not like but they're just regular people, and they've got like 12 videos every day or 2 of them working out, and they're filming it, or somebody's filming it. And my thought is, who in God's name is going with you to film something at the gym? Like if I asked Phil, hey, Phil, come with me to the gym and film me working out, I hope Phil would go, shut up.
I got things to do.
I got things. I don't know. I don't even know. No. That's a negative. By the way, in the money wasted thing that we were talking about, gym classes and memberships, $72.53 on average is what we waste. How many of you out there, if you're honest with yourself, you've got a gym membership and you forgot about it? Hell, you may not even know what gym, where it even is. I do. But that $45 comes out every month. 45. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Magic mushrooms. How magical are they? Denver's getting close to passing them, making them legal. Good thing, bad thing. I was reading about it, and I'm an adult. I don't drink, I don't do drugs, I don't smoke, I don't do any of that stuff. I got to be honest with you, though. If you're doing it in the comfort of your own home, I got no problems with it. You know, it's another one of those Schedule I things, and you can't buy it or sell it, but if you possess it, if they pass it, nothing's going to happen to you. So it's another one of those wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Don't know how you got it, but the fact that you got it, we're not going to bug you. It is Denver, man. They're taking a different route, aren't they? They're really going all libertarian. They're trying it. Next, I'm telling you, I keep going. All right, do it. Do porn. Do prostitution. We'll see how this works. Go for it. See what happens. You know, they're inching towards it. They're like sticking their toes in the water. We'll try this. We'll We'll try this. Maybe. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet us. Still the best sound of the day.
I am told this is a garbage disposal. I've never seen a garbage disposal. I never had one in any place I've ever lived. It is terrifying. I don't know what to use it for or what its purpose is. Like food scraps? Like, is this environmentally sound? I don't know.
That's AOC in a garbage disposal. It's the first one she's ever seen in the wild or captivity. The fact that she says it's terrifying, that right there should make you go, I don't know if I want to turn all of America's economy over to you. I mean, sounds fun, right? Sounds great, like social justice and fixing the climate. But if you are fascinated by a garbage disposal and terrified of it, maybe we need to rethink this entire thing. I mean, like. Totally, we do. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. Tweet at us. Check us out on the Instagram. Send me your workout video so I can go, who took that picture? Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show. Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
To Ray for being here this morning. I'd like to follow up on Senator Moran's question about the hearing we had with Attorney General Barr, because I was very concerned by his use of the word spying, which I think is a very loaded word. It conjures a criminal connotation. And I want to ask you.
By the way, all right, Phil, you're a young man of my age. When you hear the word spy, do you think criminal connotation or do you think James Bond?
I think criminal connotation.
Okay, there you go. Look at that. See, for me, I think James Bond. He was a spy, right? Like that's a spy. Like you're spying on somebody because you're a spy. You're trying to find out information. If you're eavesdropping, right? That's a little different, right? If you're being a creeper, that's a little different. But I'm sorry, I didn't mean to.
Now that the definitions are defined.
Oh, yeah. We got to define the definitions, man. Remember, it's wordplay. We got to get the word right. Phrasing, kids, phrasing.
And I want to ask you, and I'd appreciate a yes or no answer if possible. When FBI agents conduct investigations against alleged mobsters, suspected terrorists, other criminals, do you believe that they're engaging in spying when they're following FBI investigative policies and procedures?
So today I see this thing. Christopher Wray backing away from Barr. Right? So it's a yes or no question. I don't want to know anything other than yes or no.
Well, that's not the term I would use.
Thank you. So I would say that's a no to that question.
No to that question. So that's all you're going to hear about, right? Like, and then he goes on to talk about, well, we don't use that word, right? Like James Clapper was asked about it. Clap on, clap off, the clapper. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Wolf Blitzer.
Was it spying? Well, yeah, I guess it meets the dictionary definition of surveillance or spying.
Okay, so yeah, what's spying? And everybody's like, he backed away from it. He backed away from it. No, but he backed away from Barr and what he said. The thing I'm trying to tell and explain people, sometimes I have to slow it down, maybe draw them a little picture. Why did we get to this point where they thought that they had to go out and get all of these things to take a look at the Trump campaign? How did we get here? And when you have a person whose person you've endorsed, right? So you got a White House guy, we'll call him President Barack Obama. You got a person he's endorsed, somebody that was in his cabinet, and Hillary Clinton running. You fund, no matter how you want to say it, 6 degrees of whatever, a thing. You buy some info. And from there, you say, well, I think they're doing all of these things right here, so we should definitely look into it. And the people say, yeah, we should absolutely do that. I think we have every right to know, how did we arrive at that? Let's take a peek, go out and get the warrants and do all the things legally that we're supposed to do. How did we arrive at that?
The Attorney General is seeking to understand better the circumstances at the Department and the FBI relating to how this investigation started. And we're working to help him get that understanding.
Yeah, that's it. That's my question is. I'm not saying you did anything illegal. You did everything the right way. I want to know the mindset where you said you had to go do this. How much due diligence did you do on the quote-unquote dossier that brought you to this, hey, we need to go take a peek at this and see what the Russians are doing? We do. And we also should probably alert Trump and them that there is the opportunity for the Russians to infiltrate and use something to try to get at them. We should also do that. But they didn't do that. It was very flimsy on what they did. I think you have every right to say, yeah, they felt like they were spying. Because also, let's remember, if Trump was to go out and do this, right, let's say he wins, and in 4 years, somebody that was in his cabinet, or even Mike Pence, decides he's going to run for president, and he goes out there, and, Hillary's 107, but they drag her out and say, we're going to give her another run for it, right? So, or AOC's run, or whatever. So, and they say, well, we think the Chinese, they're infiltrating. We should definitely, we've got some information that says that, whatever it is. Biden, right? So, Chinese really aren't that dangerous. So they go out and they get the necessary stuff to tap. They do it all legally, right? Through FISA and all these super sneaky courts, and they get the warrants and they go do these things. You don't think some of that information that's going on outside of just that doesn't get back to the other side? Of course it does. So I like the question that, and Christopher Wray framed it here, which you won't hear much of on all the crazy establishment news media, which is simply, he's trying to understand, how did we get to this point where we decided this is what we needed to do, and then we did it? And the other question is, why didn't you alert the Trump campaign? That's the other question I was asked. Why didn't you alert the Trump campaign? And when this happened, and you guys pretty much felt that it happened when they hacked into the DNC, and you thought to yourself, it's the Russians, did you alert them? But you thought to yourself, we're not going to alert the other side. Those are fair questions. That's it. I think it's a fair thing to ask. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do you or do you not like capitalism? A very interesting question. Melinda Gates, she has a few dollars to her name. Her and her husband have been rather successful. He started a little company out of the garage, and it's done very well for themselves. And she was talking about capitalism, and I found it to be very interesting. And again, I always find it to be interesting when the uber well-to-do and rich talk about capitalism and whether or not it works for everybody.
We all know the debate that is going on right now over capitalism. And is it working for enough people? An interesting Gallup poll from about 6 months ago found that more Democrats in America have a positive view of socialism than capitalism. So what do you think when you see numbers like that?
People I meet outside the United States would really like to live in our democracy and our capitalistic society.
Yeah, they would. They would, because they've seen it, and they've seen it up close, right? We really haven't. I mean, we're kind of isolated. We're in a lot of ways that homeschooled kid that doesn't see all the bad, we don't really have socialism here. We've never had it here. They tried it at first when they got here, and they're like, oh my God, this doesn't work. And they went away from it like immediately. They tried it for like a split second. They're like, we're going to starve, because apparently nobody wants to do anything. So you flash forward to where we are, and we don't really have it. I mean, Cuba, but, again, it's the size of Catalina, which is an island off the coast. Like, it's just tiny. Nobody cares. The only thing that worried us about them is the relationship with what? With Russia, right? That's the only reason. If Russia wasn't around and Cuba was all on its own, nobody would care. But that was the worry. But outside of that, we've never really had it. People in Europe, they've seen it up close and personal. They've stared at it. They get it. That's why they want to come here. But it's back to capitalism. You've got a younger generation that is buying into this because they're being told that it's this great, great thing. And it's not. The fact is we sit here in our schools and you'll see people go out and they will say we need to get rid of every poster, every mural of anybody who was a founding father because they're bad and evil, and America was built on bad and evil intentions. It's built on white supremacy. It was built on all of these things, blah, 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 blah. And they'll go talk about all the bad, and then their professors will feed them stuff about how great socialism is, how wonderful it is, how amazing it is, whitewashing the history of the 80 to 100 million people that died last century. They'll just whitewash that. Like Chairman Mao didn't exist, right? None of that. The Red Experiment, the Red Book, it never existed, right? None of that stuff. Stalin didn't exist. Any of the stuff he didn't exist. They just whitewashed that. It's crazy. That's why the Europeans would love to be over here. They understand what it is. Remember, when we hear socialism and they spin the yarn of, oh, we want to be like Denmark and Norway and all of the... They're high-tax, free-market countries. That's what they are. They tax the hell out of goods and everyday services on top of income tax. But they're free-market societies. Government doesn't come in and own a bunch of crap. That's what you see in Venezuela.
However, I don't think capitalism does everything right, and I think it leaves behind, as Warren Buffett, some of these societal problems because they are hard. And I think it's up to us to look at our capitalistic structure and say, why are we having these great inequities in wealth? And what should we do about it? Bill and I are on record saying that we believe it's time to update the tax policy in the United States. High-income people should pay more than middle income should pay more than low income.
Is capitalism, as it exists today in America, working for enough Americans?
Is it working for enough? No, I don't think it's working well enough for all Americans. It's why you've got so much inequity.
Well, is that why? Is that why? Because I will say this. The biggest reason for inequity is understanding and a lot of time effort. Not always, but a lot. A lot of people don't understand money. They don't understand how to make money. They don't have a money mindset. And sometimes it is effort. It is absolute effort. Crony capital exists. We talk about it. It exists 110%. But there's a lot of other things that go into it. And as far as paying more, when you go and look at the federal income tax and you look at who pays the most, boom, go ahead, pay more, write checks, give every penny away if you want to. I got no problem with that. And you can raise their taxes to 90%. I don't care. They're going to find ways around it, right? Warren Buffett, he loves the fact that he harps on, I don't pay as much money as my person here who is my assistant. My secretary. Except then you find out he pays his secretary mid-six figures. He pays himself a small stipend and the rest of it's capital gains. They're codes that were put in there. They understand the codes better than everybody else. Want to pay more? Figure it out. Pay more. Write your check. Here, Uncle Sam, we want you to have all of our money. But you don't want to do that because you know they're going to blow it. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at me. Do love hearing from you. Baby names. We're getting close to baby names. Who's in the lead when it comes to the Royal? Remember, this Royal is a bit of Americana.
The current hot favorite is Arthur. That's according to the Coral bookmaking chain, followed by Philip, the baby's great-grandfather. Further down the list, Albert, James, Alfred, and Thomas. Spencer is an interesting bet. It's in reference to Princess Diana's maiden name. Many of the early bets of the past few months suggested that there was a strong belief that the royal couple's first child would be a girl. So the bookies will be coming out very nicely, whatever name is chosen.
Yep, I went with Muhammad, not working like I thought. Yeah, it's the most popular name in the world, isn't it? I think it is the most popular name on earth. So, or one of them, definitely top three. So I don't think they're going to go with that. I still think Henry would be a good name. I could see Spencer. That'd be good too. But they're probably not good. But I thought, man, if they went with Muhammad, it's totally inclusive. It's super inclusive. And I think they want to have a gender-neutral name, right? Like something like a gender, I don't know. Oh, my God. Are you sure it's a boy? We've had a child. What is it? We're not telling you. We want you guys to always be guessing. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. The New York Times is breaking news. Breaking news. Apparently, they've got 10 years of tax info from Trump. Talk about that. Plus, we're going to talk about the China trade war with the United States of America. Who's winning that? It's the Chad Benson Show.
No fake outrage here, just the real thing. The Chad Benson Show.
It is troubling, though, that it appears that Attorney General Barr was involved in this decision if Mnuchin's advice was coming from the Department of Justice, which is all the more reason that we should move immediately to impeach the Attorney General, who has lied to Congress, missed his own subpoena deadline, and now is encouraging as an accomplice to others to not follow the law.
Oh, wow. Swalwell. He's awful. He's running for president. Oh my goodness me! So, by the way, Barr tomorrow they're gonna start moving forward on something which won't have anything. They're gonna hold him in contempt, kind of like they did with Holder. Nobody really cares. We move on. Nobody. I told you that we did the same thing to Holder when it came to Fast and Furious. Nothing's gonna happen. He potentially could face thousands of dollars in fine and 3 years in prison. Not gonna happen. We move on. It's all politics. And now he's saying, well, hold on a second. Did he help with the tax returns? Well, the New York Times has a decade of tax returns from the president. Now, this was 85 to 94, having nothing to do with the president of the United States. He was just a business person, right? Having years away from thinking of running for president for real. He always toyed with the idea. But my thought process when it comes to the president and his tax returns isn't that he didn't pay taxes or Russia gave him a special loan or whatever. My thought process has always been he's not as rich as he says he is. That's always been my thought process, right? He's got a ton of money, but not as liquid and not as rich. So from 85 to 94, this is, get ready for this, kids. He lost $1 billion. So for 8 of the 10 years, he didn't pay a dime of taxes because it's hard to pay taxes when you got no money coming in. Yeah, big time. Big. In fact, in 85, he reported losses of $46.1 million from his core business, which at the time was casinos, hotel, retail space apartments. They continued to lose money every year, totaling over $1 billion for the decade. That's a lot of money. He needs to pay his fair share. Well, he's paying it and then some by losing it. So crazy. But I've always contended that when it comes to Trump, the biggest thing, he doesn't have the same kind of money that he talks about. He doesn't. I bet you he's worth near $1 billion, but he ain't worth 4 or 5. That's always been my thing when it comes to his tax returns. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Speaking of money, right now we're kind of in a little when it comes to China, little trade war kind of thing. Who does it hurt? Who does it help? And here's my thing. How big of a threat are they? We talk about Russia. I'm not worried about that red. I'm worried about that red over there. Chad Benson Show.
The Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
China United States of America, the battle is on. They're sending over their second in charge this week because they want to get a deal done. Joining us now is somebody who understands it. Former Trump campaign senior trade and jobs advisor and now senior policy advisor over America First, Curtis Ellis. And it's interesting because I don't think people understand how important this is and how much this has done as far as damage to the Chinese economy. And I read a great article today, Curtis, that said, Xi Jinping really jumped. He thought he kind of had us, and this has kind of made him step back and go, whoo, maybe we weren't quite ready to have this big fight in the trade war.
That's right. The Chinese leadership, the Chinese Communist Party, Xi Jinping, president for life, better called a dictator, underestimated President Donald J. Trump. They thought they could gull Trump the same way they've gulled all of our previous presidents into believing that China was peacefully rising and we would all be happy partners in business forever and ever. Donald J. Trump understands that China is out to conquer the world. I am not overstating the case. They want to subordinate the U.S., make us a secondary or third-rate power. That's their plan. They're going to attack us economically. They built up their military. They can do that. They've been engaged in wholesale theft, cyber espionage, blackmailing officials, and basically buying off that which they can't steal. Trump understands this. President Trump knows that, and he says, we're not going to put up with it anymore. It's over.
I don't think people in this country, and it's very interesting, Curtis, I've got friends who travel back and forth there a lot, and they'll always tell me, you have no idea what their goal is. And my buddy brought back something for me. It was very interesting. He flies for Evia Air, which is a major airlines, and he brought back something from Hong Kong, and it was a picture, it was a map. It was a giant map, Curtis. And what it had was essentially, it said like 2025 or 2050, I can't remember, what it would look like in their ideal world, which is essentially they've bred everybody else out of it and or they control everything. That is their main goal, and they use it by using economics as well as taking that money they make off stuff and then running with it to build up a military might, which, again, they're not there yet, but they're coming.
They're coming, and President Trump understands that we have to stand up to China now, because if we wait much longer, we won't be able to. They will be so powerful economically. Look, they've bought off a large part of Wall Street. You've got these Wall Street investment banks who are making money, commissions on counseling corporations to invest in China. Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State, has a consulting company that makes millions counseling companies to move into China, close their American factories, and invest in China. Hunter Biden, Joe Biden's son, was given $1 billion, $1 billion from the Chinese government-owned Bank of China to create an investment fund. That investment fund counseled a Chinese military contractor to buy an American precision machining company that makes military-grade hardware. He used that money to invest in a surveillance technology company that is being used to persecute the Muslim Uyghurs in northwest China. This is what is there about does.
About 2-3 million of those Uyghurs, who they say anywhere between 1 and 3 million of them that are being essentially re-educated in these camps, and it's scary what's going on. Talking to Curtis Ellis, senior policy advisor of America First, former Trump campaign advisor, and you know what? Here's something that is very interesting. You talk about Biden. There's a perfect example. He's got big leads everywhere. He's winning everywhere. He's pretty much won the presidency, and he has come out and basically said, China's not a big deal. We got nothing to worry about with China. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. And it is, I just don't get how people feel this way, because the reality is even everybody who's on the Democratic side is kind of looking around going, is this the same China we are talking about, or is this the wrestler?
Yeah. Yes. Old sleepy Joe Biden is Rip Van Winkle. He's still stuck in the year 2000 when everybody thought China was going to be our friend, that they're just this poor little backward third world country that needs American investment. And as they grow more wealthy, they will become more democratic and more peaceful. Well, Joe, it's time to wake up and smell the coffee. They are not more peaceful. They are more militaristic. They are more authoritarian, and they are out to conquer the world. What Joe is saying, what Joe Biden is saying, is the old conventional wisdom, and it shows that he's still stuck in the past and he doesn't get it. I submit that he is stuck in the past because he's being paid to be stuck in the past, as I explained with his son. His son has been bought off. And when somebody's paying you money, it's really hard to stand up to them and tell them to quit. And that's why it takes a president like Donald J. Trump to say, enough already. I don't need your money. I don't care. President Trump's not part of the Wall Street, Washington establishment. That's why the people of America elected him. And that's why he's able to do what he does, because unfortunately, the entire corporate establishment of America and the entire Washington establishment, pretty much all of it, has been bought off. Got to give credit where credit's due. Chuck Schumer is backed up President Trump, saying hang tough on China, and that's what's going on. But Joe Biden, he's clueless. Old clueless, Sleepy Joe.
It's very interesting, and you talk about that. We're talking to Curtis Ellis, a senior policy advisor over at America First. You talk about Chuck Schumer and a few others. He's taking some playbooks and some ammo away from a lot of Democrats when it comes to China. And I find that to be very interesting. And here's the interesting thing, which, look, Trump and I, more than a few occasions, we have battled, and I have different opinions in some of the things he's done. But if you go back and you look at it, and I tell everybody this, go look at the one thing that in the political world that he's been completely consistent on. Going back into the 80s, he's talked about the trade deficit. He's talked about the way that China does business. And people don't realize there's a lot of other countries that are looking around going, I'm glad Trump's doing this, because when we go to do business there, the first thing they want to do is they want to see all of our plans. They take our plans. They steal all of our ideas. Then they remake it at a cheaper way. That's the plan of doing business with China. Know this. They're here to steal from you intellectually. The theft that they've done is you can't even put a number on it.
That's right. Look, the Chinese have laid out their plan for world domination. It's called Made in China 2025, and it identifies 12 top industries that they want to have a commanding market share, commanding position in globally. And this is, as the Justice Department has said, this is a roadmap to theft. This shows where they're stealing our trade secrets. And, folks, this is not some green eye shade thing. They're talking about bankrupting American companies, stealing our technology so that we are dependent on them for everything. And what it means is your kids and your grandkids want a good job, they're going to have to get in line behind 1.5 billion Chinese who are towing the Communist Party line, because that's what it takes to get a job in China or get a job from a Chinese boss. You have to toe the line of the Chinese Communist Party. They're building a surveillance state that monitors everything you read, everything you say or post on the internet, everything you buy. It's all fed through the computers, and if you're not buying the right things, saying the right things, reading the right things, you can't even get a ticket on a slow train to Shanghai. And it's a way of forcing you to comply with what the government tells you to comply with. They're now exporting this technology and exporting this. And the sickest part of it all is American companies are helping to build this. This goes back to what I said. The American corporate establishment has just gone along with the Chinese Communist Party plot. And it's really, really disturbing. Thank God we have a president that's standing up to it. And you're right. Now that President Trump has called them out, you see other countries and other leaders in the world saying, thank goodness somebody's doing that. We're with him. They won't say it publicly, but behind the scenes, they're there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I think when they get together at the G8 and many of these summits behind the scenes, they may differ in a lot of stuff. They don't like the antics. They don't like the tweeting. They don't like a lot of that stuff. But when it comes to pure business and the way that things have gone in China, we like the cheap goods. Let's be real in America, because we're a consumer-based society. We love the cheap goods, but what is the cost eventually long term? And that's something. And it's not, you go back and you look at Obama, Bush, all of them, going all the way back to Nixon, and, from ping pong diplomacy all the way through the way that things have gone, that this thought process, China had a much bigger plan. And they've jumped a few times. They've jumped a bit early, and this may be one of those times, because the reality is economically, it shows you we are a nation that can do it ourselves, where China depends so much. And these tariffs and the things that have gone on so far, Curtis, has really put a hurting on their economy. It shows that we're still the leader there.
That's right. That's right. We are a country that can still do it ourselves. They're dependent on us for the technology that they steal, or the investment capital that we give them, which is just outrageous, and also for our consumer market. If they can't sell their goods in our consumer market, they are starved for cash. And they need the cash, and what's really perverted is that the cash that we give them by buying made-in-China goods, they're using to build up their military and to build up their military bases around the world. So, yeah, we have the upper hand here. President Trump understands that. And as you said, while we remain fixated on cheap consumer goods, we have to remember that freedom isn't free. And President Trump's America First agenda, his America First program, is geared towards raising incomes in America. If you're earning more, it's okay if you spend a little more for clothing or for other goods that you buy. Think about it this way. The welfare recipient that pays 99 cents for a T-shirt is actually spending more on clothing than the investment banker who spends $500 on a shirt. Because as a fraction of their income, that T-shirt is a larger fraction of the income of the welfare recipient. If I'm not earning anything, I don't care if my shoes cost $2. I'm still going to go shoeless.
Yeah, it's just nuts. It is crazy. Appreciate you coming on. Insight into what's going on over there. Curtis Ellis, Senior Policy Advisor, America First. Thanks so much, my man. Appreciate that. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you.
Thanks. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. And if you guys don't understand the threat, and it's not just, we got a big military, the stuff that comes with China, where they're wanting to go, how they're looking to get there, and the fact that they're making pretty much everybody aware of what's going on, and people have gone along with it. It's not that they need to be our enemies, but the fact that they've got, the fact that, when we trade with them, and they've got special trade status like our best allies do, that should scare you, knowing who they are and what they're doing to people, how they suppress their people, and what they would love to do as far as they're not looking to be the biggest and strongest in the East. They want to be the biggest and strongest in the world, and they'll use that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's the Chad Benson Show.
Running with scissors sounds great compared to this.
Say what?
Walmart is launching its first ever online pet pharmacy, WalmartPetRx.com, as well as more options for pets in stores and online with expanded vet clinics in Walmart stores. Walmart will deliver pet meds straight to your door. Dog owners, on average, spend over $1,000 a year on their pets. Most of that goes to vet care, vaccinations, food, and supplies.
We spend a lot of money. We were talking earlier because there's a new study out that says Americans blow about $18,000 a year in useless things. I wouldn't call your pet useless, right? Because and I can't, because my animals are uber important to me. But there's a lot of people out there that get a bunch of stuff. My sister and her boyfriend spend so much money on their critters, on their dog. Now, they don't have kids, and they don't want to. They make a good living, but they spend a little bit. They don't save a lot. But, man, the kind of money they spend on their dogs, it's crazy. Now, I spend a good amount of money on my, this is how you know your country is doing well when we're debating, we're going to have a pet pharmacy. Really? Like in other countries, they're like, well, we're just going to put him down. Oh, Jimmy here did as much as he could, but he's kind of limping now, so we're just going to put him down, and we'll get you a new one because there's another one running around here. We'll just catch and give it to you. Where we're like, nope, let's take him in. We'll have back fusion surgery. We'll get him all the medication. We'll put him in this sling, and we'll carry him around forever, and we'll get him a costume, and we'll have a birthday party for him. You're like, oh, yeah. Say, what? Yeah, that's the kind of money. I mean, think about it. Every year we do a story on what? How much money we spend on our animals at Christmas and Halloween. Yeah. Crazy. Talk about non-essentials. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. So picture this. You're a police officer, right? Woo! You roll on up to a car. There's only one state this can happen in. Anybody? Ah, yes. Florida. You roll on up. Punta Gorda, Florida. And you say, what are you guys doing there? And they're like, oh, yeah, we were just collecting some wildlife from underneath the overpass there. And they're like, oh, really? Yeah. What do you got there? Oh, we got some turtles. And they take a look. Well, you're not supposed to be having those turtles in there. What else do you have in there? Oh, well, I got this. And she reaches into her yoga pants. And what does she pull out? A gator. A gator in her pants when they go, do you have anything else? Yeah, I do. I have a gator in my pants. Ariel Macan Lecure, 25, said she was collecting snakes and frogs from under the overpass. She had turtles, which she wasn't supposed to have, but yes, 41 of them, by the way. But she also had a gator in her pants. This is when you stand back and say, there's only one state that can do something this amazing, and that state simply is Florida. Gator in your pants. Love me a gator. In your pants? Wonder what the gator thought of that. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You could tweet at me. Some of you texting in about the China interview that we just did with Curtis Ellis. It's a very interesting thing. And I tell, the worrisome thing is people are so hyper-focused about Russia. People are so hyper-focused about, getting Trump. But the reality is when you look at what I worry about and what a lot of people should be paying attention to is not Russia, is China. They pose a much bigger threat militarily, and they pose a bigger threat as far as the global economy goes. And by the way, as producer Anthony and I were talking about just a minute ago, take away the nuclear weapons from Russia. Do you know what you have? You have Hungary. Just think about that. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
We all know the debate that is going on right now over capitalism. And is it working for enough people? An interesting Gallup poll from about 6 months ago found that more Democrats in America have a positive view of socialism than capitalism. So what do you think when you see numbers like that?
People I meet outside the United States would really like to live in our democracy and our capitalistic society.
Oh, no way. Why would they want to do that? Because they live in places where they've seen what it looks like, being neighbors with and or under the craziness and rule of the likes of the Soviets, in particular the Eastern Bloc countries, right? They get it. They're like, I don't know why anybody would want to do this. I don't know why anybody would even want to look at something as favorable. Look around the globe and tell me where socialism works. And then go back throughout history and show me all the places it went really, really well for. Right? Show me all of those places. Well, capitalism doesn't work for everybody. That right there is Poppy Harlow and Melinda Gates. Which, by the way, capitalism has never worked for the Melinda Gates and has never worked for her husband, Bill. Ever. Oh, Chad, now you're just being silly. You're such a jerk. No, sometimes it doesn't work. But it's not because of capitalism. Right? Sometimes it doesn't work because the people who are working it don't know what the hell they're doing. Sometimes people are stupid. Sometimes bad things happen to good people and good things happen to bad people. But it is the best system out there. It's taken more people from poverty to prosperity than anything else. And the fact that people are even trying to embrace some of it is insane. It is. No, Chad, you just don't understand. You just don't get it. This is what, and it always makes me laugh when I hear everybody always preface but they did it wrong. Let me tell you how I'm going to do it. They did it wrong. Here's my idea. They did it wrong. Right? It's that. Don't blame, right? Don't blame the tools. Blame the artist. We're different artists. We're going to do it better. We're going to do it bigger, bolder. We're going to do all of it in a much different way. And a younger generation is being indoctrinated with all of the great things that socialism can become without. It's so funny. We here in America, we love to talk about the awful history of America, how bad America's been, how horrible America is, how bad all of these people were back in the day, how our founding fathers were the worst human beings on earth, how the pilgrims and the people that that came over here, all of these things are bad. They're all horrible and bad. Then they get indoctrinated with socialism, a wonderful thing. Here's all the beautiful things about socialism. By the way, we're not going to tell you about the 80 to 100 million that it killed last century. We're going to leave that part out. We're going to cherry pick the best part of it.
However, I don't think capitalism does everything right, and I think it leaves behind, as Warren Buffett, some of these societal problems because they are hard. And I think it's up to us to look at our capitalistic structure and say, why are we having these great inequities in wealth? And what should we do about it? Bill and I are on record saying that we believe it's time to update the tax policy in the United States. High-income people should pay more than middle income should pay more than low income.
Is capitalism, as it exists today in America, working for enough Americans?
Is it working for enough? No, I don't think it's working well enough for all Americans. It's why you've got so much inequity.
By the way, just to let you know, Bill and Melinda, you guys can take every penny you have, and there is a place on the tax form where you can give all of your money away. And you know why you don't do that? Because you're not stupid. And the last thing you want to do is give it to the government because you know they're going to screw it up. And within minutes, it's all going to be gone. Capitalism doesn't work the way that it should work because we have too many people in the way of capitalism, free markets, the way it should be. You know it. I know it. Everybody knows it. When you have crony capitalism and you have power, people will go in what? They want to have an audience with power because they want of some of what that power has in D.C., which is a little bit of their power. And you know what the people in D.C. and state capitals want? They want a little bit of your money. It's nuts. It is. No, it could be better. Absolutely. But for it to be better, the powers that be have to relinquish some of those power and tell the people, your money's not good here. You go out and let the free market decide. It's crazy. We talked about it yesterday. It's a perfect example of, we talk about healthcare. So Florida is getting rid of a just horrible thing that they put in the 70s that thought was going to be great. A certificate of need. It's a perfect example of power. What happened? So in a lot of places, not just in Florida, but across the country, if you're a healthcare industry and you set something up, so you can handle outpatient eye care, and some of the stuff you do is also done at a hospital, the hospital could say, nope, we don't need that around here. We don't need that here. And they'll tell the government, local government, state government, no, They need a certification of need, and there is no need for another eye care facility when we here at the hospital can do it ourselves. But we've already got 3 of those around here, so they don't need to add a 4th. So you've got people that have spent hundreds, thousands, and millions of dollars building up their doctor's offices, building up their healthcare clinics and facilities, and those things sit empty right now as far as patients go because they don't want other competition, because that's what you do. There's crony capitalism at work. So Florida said, yeah, we're going to get rid of it because it hasn't worked. It didn't drive down prices. It didn't do anything. What it did was it made things scarce. And in that scarcity, prices were able to go up. But if I can go across the street and say, okay, wait a minute here, I can get this procedure done across the street for $500, or I can come here and get it done for $2,000. I'm going to go across the street. But if you take away the choice, then I'm stuck with whatever it is that you give me. That's crony capitalism. Does capitalism work? It's hard to tell how good it could work if people don't get out of the way. And if you want to give your money, right? Like, you're right, Phil. We talked about this on how many occasions? Producer Phil and I have talked about it. There's a place on the form where you can give more dollars, right? She says, well, we should pay more. Then pay more. God, drives me crazy. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Love hearing from you. So Christopher Wray's dragged up on the Hill, right? You know, he's the talking about, you know, the Mueller investigation still out there. Barr said, well, I want to get to the bottom of why we even started any of this Russia investigation. You know, were we spying on a campaign and then eventually a president-elect? I think it's a fair question to ask this. Did that actually happen or didn't it happen? So this is some of the questions that were fired at him today.
Ray, for being here this morning. I'd like to follow up on Senator Moran's question about the hearing we had with Attorney General Barr, because I was very concerned by his use of the word spying, which I think is a very loaded word. It conjures a criminal connotation. And I want to ask you, and I'd appreciate a yes or no answer if possible. When FBI agents conduct investigations against alleged mobsters, suspected terrorists, other criminals, do you believe that they're engaging in spying when they're following FBI investigative policies and procedures?
So that is it. So she just wants a yes or no on that. Was it spying?
Well, that's not the term I would use.
Thank you. So I would say that's a no to that question.
So it's a no to that question. Was not spying, period, case closed, end of story. Thank you very much. It was not spying. None of it was spying. There was no spying done. Hold on a second. Christopher Wray wants to say something.
Well, I mean, look, there are lots of people have different colloquial phrases. I believe that the FBI is engaged in investigative activity, and part of investigative activity includes surveillance activity of different shapes and sizes.
Okay, so now it's not spying, it's investigation into this. James Clapper also used to be a bigwig, you know, in the intelligence community, right? Is sure that Trump has done all of this. And remember, the reason all of this started was because of the Steele dossier. So that's why they had to. Everybody made fun of you know, Trump Jr. and everybody else because it's like, man, I think we're being, you know, they're listening to our calls and all of this. Oh, you guys are idiots. There's paranoia. You guys must have done something wrong. Nobody's spying on you. James Clapper. Well, Wolf, you take it away.
Was it spying? Well, yeah, I guess it meets the dictionary definition of surveillance or spying.
Just listen, but you could use it. Kind of. I mean, he had spying, but it's not intelligence gathering, whatever you want to call it. If Trump did it to any one of the candidates right now, I would be absolutely beyond pissed off. No. And think about this. Think about China. Think about what Joe Biden just said about China. They're not a big deal. It's not, you know, hey, we should be pals and friends. And the stuff that's gone on. Think about the fact that his son has profited. Got $1 billion from one of the leading Chinese banks. Think about those things while we sit here and talk about stuff. And if he went out and surveilled, I would be absolutely pissed. We cannot weaponize these agencies. Now, they continue today.
At this time, do you have any evidence that any illegal surveillance into the campaigns or individuals associated with the campaigns by the FBI occurred?
It's not about whether it was legal surveillance. They did everything legally. It's how did we get to the part where they decided that they were going to surveil, intelligence gather, whatever you want to call it. That's the problem that people have. You took a dossier that even now, people on the left are like, yeah, it's a bunch of crap. You took that as the basis to run, and you did more investigation into the campaign and the President-elect Trump than you did into the actual dossier itself. There's the issue that I have. And most Americans should. So based on that, you're going to run with it? Well, the fear factor is this is where we're going. This is going to be ugly moving forward. 323-538-2423. At Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. Do love hearing from every single one of you. I try to get back to all of you. I don't always have a chance to get back to all of you, but I do try to text and get back to each and every single one of you. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show, Twitter. My Pillow is amazing. It's incredible. I was a skeptic. Put it to the test. I got a 4-pack right now for you. 4 My Pillows. 2 premium pillows, 2 go-anywhere pillows, half the price. I got a money-back guarantee as well. What are you doing? Sleep better. I know I do. I've got everything. I've got the sheets. I've got the mattress. But I tell you what, I started with a pillow, and I did not believe I would sleep better, and I was proven wrong. And the thing that's been so valuable for me with My Pillow and sleeping is my go-anywhere pillow, because I do travel a lot. I'm in a hotel tonight, and I tell you what, I have my Pillow. It's the first thing I do when I'm packing. It's the first thing I go for. 100% machine washable and dryable, made in the USA, 10-year warranty. You've got nothing to lose. Right now, grab yours. 4 pillows, 2 premium pillows, 2 go-anywhere pillows, half the price, free shipping. Get ready for it, kids. 800-944-4975 or MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. That's MyPillow.com, MyPillow.com, promo code Benson, or 800-944-4975. Make sure you use MyPillow.com, promo code Benson. It's a Chad Benson Shoe.
Got that sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
Climate change, where do you put it? If it's not in the top 5 national security threats, where do you put it?
Well, I can't rank it. But I can't tell you exactly which number. We want to make sure that all the outcomes that are possible, and that includes climatic change, that we are sure that our national security, as a Secretary of State, my job is to make sure our national security is never wavers. And that's what we'll do.
No, it's not enough. It needs to be number 1. I don't care about ISIS. I don't care about Al-Qaeda. I don't care about China or Russia. I don't care about any of it at all. Fight the climate. And Mike Pompeo, I want you to single-handedly fight the climate. I want you to put on gloves. I want you to train. I want you to do a bunch of sit-ups. Then I want to get you out there, and I want you to fight the hell out of climate.
What are you doing specifically to address this threat, or do you not take it particularly seriously?
This administration takes keeping Americans safe, keeping our drinking water pure, keeping our air clean very, very seriously. What the debate is about the Paris Climate Agreement. We don't think that has any hope of being successful. We've seen it. We've seen America reduce its carbon footprint while the signatories, including China, haven't done theirs. To sign a piece of paper and it's interesting and fun and you get to cut a piece of ribbon and have a big photo op, but at the end of the day, the world's no safer.
Oh, but hey, that's true. But don't you feel worse now? Don't you feel like you hate the climate a little bit more? Right? I saw the climate the other day. The climate's like, hey, Chad, is it true? Because I think that's what climate sounds like. Does America hate me? I'm like, no. But, like, we were the only one following the rules. And, like, the other ones are, like, totally like, yeah, we'll totally follow the rules. And they're cheating on you. So we're just going to do our own thing. We don't hate you. We're just like, you know. We just don't think we should be, you know, like I feel like we're engaged, but everybody else is, you know, they're just playing around.
This administration is focused on doing the things that will allow our economy to grow. And you know this. Countries with high per capita GDP always have cleaner air, safer drinking water. It's a virtual certainty that health is improved for citizens around the world as economies grow. We're determined to do that. We hope other countries will follow our lead, and they too can have historic 50 years lows in their unemployment as well. These are the things that will keep Americans safe. It's what President Trump is focused on.
Yeah. And look, I want clean water. I want beautiful clean air. I want all of the things that people who are believing that the climate is done and dusted, we can't save it, or it'll be gone in 12 years if we don't, there'll be no way to turn around after that. I believe those things. I want those things. I believe that we industrial countries are cleaner, are better. But I also believe that we seem to be the only one who plays by the rules. And that's the problem that so many people out there have. And I don't want to fundamentally change our economy and hurt us while nobody else plays by the rules. That's wrong. That's stupid. That is absolutely stupid. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. It's Chad Benson Show.
Chad Benson Show.
Independent thoughts, independent life. This is Chad Benson.
I am told this is a garbage disposal. I've never seen a garbage disposal. I never had one in any place I've ever lived. It is terrifying. I don't know what to use it for or what its purpose is.
It's a congressperson right
like
there.
Food scraps? Like, is this environmentally sound? I don't know.
That right there is the newest congressperson, freshman, out of New York. Author of the Green New Deal, Ocasio-Cortez, who've never seen a garbage disposal, whether in the wild or in captivity. Doesn't quite know if she should be afraid. Is it venomous? Not quite sure. And I bring this up because, A, it's just hilarious. And yesterday, we've been talking lately about the Facebook banning and the Twitter banning. And, the right wing gets all upset, but it happens on both sides. It doesn't. It doesn't happen on both sides, but people are going after, the right, and it's all, it's whether it's guilt by association, and it's if you think it's happening to both sides, you're fooling yourself. Like, I will tell you this, Farrakhan was a throw-in that the left is like, we don't like that guy. He's nuts. Like, we could sacrifice him, but we can get rid of some of these other people. And I'm a free speech person, right? So Phil sends me this. An AOC press Twitter account that had some 85,000 followers has been taken down despite it complying entirely with the service's rules on satire by self-labeling as such. This account, a satire of Democrat AOC, has well over 85,000, is now permanently suspended. And it's hilarious. So wait, that's suspended. But Devin Nunes' cow that has a ton of followers, and Devin Nunes' mom, and Devin Nunes, all of these things, those are fine. But this isn't. That's why people go, well, it's not fair. And people get upset. Because and look, it's your business. You do what you want. But I read something today, too. Do you know that your likes are protected under the First Amendment? Think about that for a second. If we're going to run with the First Amendment when we like it and we don't like it, this is the frustration that people have. And my thing is, I don't care if you want to ban people. Just be open about it. When somebody asks you a question, hey, why are you banning so-and-so? Or why are you banning me? Or why? Because you went against the rules and regs. No, I didn't. I followed every single thing that you were supposed to say. Well, I can't tell you. That's not an answer. That's not an answer. That's the frustration, is the goalposts are always moving. And therein lies the frustration for a lot of people out there when they look at stuff like this and go, I don't like this. Right? It's frustrating. And look, I'm no fan. Trust me, I stood up for Alex. This is Alex Jones fans. A lot of them in a nutshell. A lot of them understand what it is, and it's entertainment value. But as we all know, not everybody. Even though I don't like his show, even though he does his own thing, it is what it is. Never been a huge fan of any of the stuff he's ever done. And I stood up for his right to say the things he said. I don't remember. I asked people too on the left, is like, Chad, you shouldn't stand for him. I'm like, just send me where he's advocating all the violence, so we can go, oh, okay, I see it now. I got nothing. But I did get his people coming after me. Whoo! Man. Oh, my goodness. You just sit back and you shake your head, right? Like, you're just like, ugh. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. You can tweet at us. I continue to say that I think the politics that we live in today, especially when it goes to the right and to the left, conservative, liberal, I think there's DNA attached to some of that. That we're in our mind, we're hardwired in some ways to be more conservative and more liberal, more touchy-feely, more analytical, more of those kind of things. And I believe that we're hardwired, right? And there's a political app out there now focusing on dating. And I'm telling you guys, it is very interesting because I think that in some ways, birds of a feather flock together. And I think that includes some of the DNA side of things.
For this New York native, it's not just about finding a man with the right looks or the right job.
I think like-minded individuals obviously get along better.
It's about whether he votes for the right. Meet Alex.
I work in finance. My biggest hobby is collecting cars.
And has strong conservative values.
I'm looking for another Republican-leaning person that shares similar views.
Having a nice, normal conversation where if politics does come up, it's not going to create tension. It's not going to create abrasiveness.
That's why these two turned to a new dating app called Writer.
Ooh. I'm sure there'll be, it'll be funny. Watch this. You could probably have to sign up, and then in signing up, if it's not free, there'll be PayPal or something like that. And then PayPal will say, sorry, we can't have this because you are supporting white supremacy somewhere along the line. Right? That's why people get mad at Silicon Valley is like, people say, you need to go set up your own Facebook or Twitter if you want to get away if you don't like the way that Facebook and them treat you. And you're like, yeah, that's what you should do. But the minute you do and you have everybody where there's free speech is allowed, what ends up happening? PayPal and everybody else comes in and say, well, we can't support any of the things you do. We're going to demonetize you. You're going to have to figure it out yourself because, you support white supremacy. But dating is very interesting, right? So you want to, after a while, you're like, you want to have a conversation with somebody probably of the same political. You know what? If I was dating, what I would want is somebody who's not political at all, or somebody who kind of sees the way you do, just so I don't have to fight and argue all the time. That would be like a huge thing. I would rather non-political, but it is what it is.
The founder, Christy Edwards Lawton, is an avid Trump supporter and a banker turned matchmaker. Her goal is to make conservative America date again. After the divisive 2016 election, Christy says she saw a need for this kind of app. Its slogan, when you're tired of getting swiped left on for your political beliefs, use Writer.
Writer isn't just focused on political affiliation. It's giving conservatives a place to go where they can stop trying to swipe and go, oh, when do I tell her I voted for President Trump? They're going to a place where it's like, oh, finally, conservative women.
Oh, there you go. Conservative women. It's very interesting, right? And that's why I still think that there is some DNA in the way that we vote, in the way that we look at voting, in the way that we live our lives. I think there is some of that is just inherently in us, hardwired in us, that, hey, this is who we are, right? This is who I am. And for whatever reason, there's some people out there that rebel against the mom and dad, but there's also a lot of people out there that they're just, you have 4 kids and one of them turns out to be just a total liberal or uber conservative Michael J. Fox kind of, Alex P. Keaton. And you're like, maybe it's just a hardwire, DNA, something.
There's one time I did get swiped, I guess, by someone on the left, and he just felt the need to message me saying, "Are you stupid? Like, you're a moron."
From shared interests.
I have a dog. I think I told you. 7 pounds, mix of a rat terrier and a chihuahua.
I just found out that my beagle's part Chihuahua. I've had family members who are twice my age, which you would assume are a little bit more mature, make Facebook statuses about me the day that Trump was elected.
Oh, see, that's crazy. So many people out there that are like that. I don't get it. I wouldn't care if Hillary to win. I'm like, I don't care. It's not going to affect my life. But, man, the hatred. That's why I can't trust polls when it comes to Trump. I just can't. I can't trust any of the polls. But Biden's up by 985 points. Oh, my God, he's already won. I just don't trust any of those things. Same thing goes, could you imagine that politics plays that much of a part in your life that you couldn't date somebody or that, you found out they voted for Trump or voted for Hillary and you didn't want to go out with them anymore? Ugh. I'm sorry. I can't. I got friends on both sides. And you know what? Oddly enough, not only have friends on both sides, all of my friends on both sides, we all tend to be friends with each other. And politics in some of their lives is a huge thing, but they can look past it. But there's a lot of people out there that they just can't look past that. And in the dating world nowadays, oh my, I wouldn't even want to be a part of anything like that where that it's going to come up in conversation and you may get something thrown on you.
He's very worldly. He's got a lot to say.
I would definitely go on another date with her. I think that she is a great girl, beautiful, interesting, definitely has a lot of energy to her. I'm looking forward to the second date.
A romantic prospect for this political pair.
Yeah. A romantic prospect for this political pair. Speaking of dating, there's another site out there that's interesting, and it's beautiful people, right? It's a dating website. Right? And to be on there, you must be beautiful. You must be. In fact, the guy who came up with the dating site has been kicked off the dating site because he's not hot enough. Here's some of the things. 10 ugliest features according to men. Obese, eyes too far apart or too close together, big or unsightly nose, bad skin, poor figure, meaning no shape or curves, no butt or too much butt, thin fat. Thin fat is skinny but no body tone, bad teeth, right? Too small lips, no lips, poor teeth, bad makeup, or the unibrow. For the women, when it comes to the men, pretty much the same kind of stuff. Bad teeth, overweight, too short, crooked nose, bad posture, balding or unkept hair, dirty or long nails, too skinny, scrawny, or effeminate, too fat. So funny. My goodness. We're a visual species, right? We are a visual species. There's a new study out today talking about what makes marriage happy. And get ready for this. It's out of the University of Florida, kids. Are you ready for this? Hold on to your hats and glasses. Beautiful women make men happy in marriage, and men who are successful, who've made a good life for themselves and maybe a name for themselves, make women happy in marriage. What? No way. That's from the University of Florida? Yep. Right there. 323-538-2423 at Chad Benson Show is your Twitter. Butcher Box. Nothing compares to beautiful meat. Organic free-range chicken, wild-caught sockeye salmon, the best beef around. Yep, grass-fed, grass-finished, and the best pork. 20 different cuts of meat. And right now, they are offering something amazing to my listeners. It is the Ultimate Barbecue Bundle. It's less than $6 a meal. Right? You can customize your box delivered directly to you. You are going to love every second of this. And as it starts to get warmer outside, you can be barbecuing. This is the time. Strike while the iron is hot, as they would say. Get your Ultimate Barbecue Bundle now from ButcherBox and $20 off your first box. How do you do it? Simple and easy. Go to butcherbox.com/Chad. They're going to throw in New York strip steaks, baby back ribs, and 2 pounds of ground beef on top of everything else, and $20 off. Oh, yes, they are, kids. Now is your time. Jump on it. ButcherBox.com/Chad. 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 At Chad Benson Show. Twitter, ChadBenson. Check out the ChadShow.com. Grab your podcast there. It is the aforementioned Chad Benson Show.
Got that sniffling, sneezing, stuffy head thing going on? Time for your daily dose of Vitamin Chad.
Kidney disease. I was shocked to find this out. 37 million U.S. adults over the age of 20 suffer from kidney disease. 9th leading cause of death in the U.S. Joining us now is Mandy Hale, Vice President of Nursing for DaVita Kidney Care. And that's like one of those things where you don't hear much about it, Mandy. Nobody says anything. The reality is that there's no sexiness to it, so it goes completely unnoticed. But that's a lot. 9th leading cause of death in the United States.
Absolutely. To break that down even further, 1 in 7 adults in the United States has kidney disease.
When you say kidney disease, like when I think of disease, I think you think of cancer, you think of some of these other things. Give us what chronic kidney disease. What are some of the things that people? Because some people may not even understand. They may not be getting any of these symptoms and understand what they're going through.
Absolutely. Well, chronic kidney disease is what we refer to as a progressive disease. And so what that means is over time, due to whatever condition is affecting a particular individual, the kidneys will sustain more and more damage. And they can ultimately be damaged to the point where they fail, which is when chronic kidney disease would escalate to kidney failure. And at that point, transplant or dialysis is required for people to stay alive. It's a pretty significant disease.
Yes, absolutely it is. Talking to Mandy Hale, Vice President of Nursing for DaVita Kidney Care. So I'm looking at this thing right here, and, as I was doing research, I like to research everything. It's one of those things where African Americans and Hispanics are more likely to suffer from this than Caucasians, if you will. And the number one leading cause of this is?
Diabetes.
Diabetes. There's another one of those things where diabetes is everywhere. So it is the leading cause of this disease, which is another one of those things where you start to see the 6 degrees of separation come closer because people get diabetes, Mandy, and then all of a sudden they find out they get something else.
Absolutely. And sadly, in some cases, the progression of both the diabetes and the kidney failure has been unknown to an individual who hasn't had screening for these things, and both are discovered at once.
It's interesting to talk to Mandy Hale, Vice President of Nursing for DaVita Kidney Care. Is I think a lot of people think, your kidneys, it's, you get stones or maybe you drink too much and too much alcohol and smoking and stuff causes some of this stuff. But those are part of it like anything else. But it is crazy to think that when you look at some of these statistics, again, it's overeating that causes diabetes, type 1, type 2 diabetes. And it starts to put itself together, and then you're stuck in a situation where you're in real trouble.
Absolutely. Diabetes is the leading cause, and the second leading cause is hypertension or high blood pressure. So again, that's another condition that is progressive, slowly develops over time in many cases. And when the symptoms are bad enough that you feel them, it's very advanced.
What are some of the symptoms we should look for?
Well, specifically for kidney disease, and again, diabetes and hypertension symptoms do play a role in these. People may find themselves with fatigue or feeling extra tired. They may have a lot of nausea or loss of appetite. There may be some kind of confusion involved. And in reflecting, people may often realize, wow, I feel awful right now, and that leads to an ER trip. And if they think back, these things kind of slowly worsened over time.
Yeah, it is a scary thing. And there's so many people out there who don't understand what's going on. You guys are on a bus tour right now in California. Patients can get free screenings right there. Tell everybody out there listening how they can go and visit and get more information about this awful, dreaded disease.
Absolutely. Our website is a great resource for kidney disease, kidney failure, how to avoid these things, and what to do if you have them. And that website is DaVita, DAVITA.com.
Appreciate you coming on today. Mandy Hell, Vice President of Nursing for DaVita Kidney Care. We thank you for taking time to talk about this serious thing that people should get education for.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you. At Chad Benson Show, Twitter, ChadBenson. It's the Chad Benson Show.
This is the Chad Benson Show.